Hello and welcome to another episode of Statford Bridge, Chelsea by the Numbers. A little bit of a different format. I'm not going to talk about Brentford. Chelsea drew 0-0. That's normally what we do. But I've been kind of putting together the old Djordje Petrovic stuff, and I figured that perhaps a better place to do this is to just do it as a podcast episode. So we're going to look at some data. We're going to watch some video. We're going to talk about Djordje. We're going to talk about what I think Chelsea should do with their goalkeepers next season. The whole shebang. So, I mean, everyone has seen there's been a lot of coverage about how good a season Petrovic has had, right? Like that is objectively a thing that has happened. And he was not great for Chelsea in 2023, 2024. I think it's important to not dismiss that, or it's important to not, like ignore that happened. Um, I think one of the interesting things in the data, like Petrovic was one of the worst keepers in the Premier League by uh, like goals saved above average and his XG numbers and all that sort of thing. And wasn't great with his feet, wasn't great claiming crosses, like the whole thing. And if you look this season, it's huge. But I think when you look at that Chelsea season, actually one of the things that isn't shown in the numbers, but was a thing that you could very much see, is he conceded 7 deflected goals. And so it's like, okay, not that like none of them would have gone in without a deflection. I don't know. But let's say none of them went in. He was basically a league average goalkeeper his first season playing in the Premier League for a pretty chaotic team. And all of a sudden, the picture is a lot cheerier. Regardless, Petrovic goes to Strasbourg on loan. This was not the club's first choice. They were very much trying to move him because I think he's one of the players they thought had positive equity. And couldn't move him, couldn't get a permanent deal done for the price they wanted. So he goes on loan to Strasbourg, and all of a sudden he has a great season, and now it looks like, oh my God, maybe they should look at keeping him around. And I think the fun thing is that the shot stopping metrics are huge again, which is not surprising. I think when Chelsea signed him, I pegged him to be like a top 5 shot stopper in the Premier League, which was really, really aggressive for a goalkeeper translating from MLS. But his metrics in MLS were so good that even with a sizable drop off, I thought he would be very, very, very good. And so to see him go to France, which translates pretty well to England, and be very, very, very good is a really, really nice thing to see. If you look at the top 5 leagues on FBref, he's the 3rd best goalkeeper in Europe. I grabbed this a couple days ago, so it's not including this weekend's games. He kept another clean sheet, but not a ton of XG against in that game. A lot of Liga keepers at the top there. Ye van Diouf is another one who's turned up on lots of lists over the years. Lucas Chevalier as well. But really, really solid, really, really solid XG season from him as a shot stopper. And I think one of the big things that has popped up for other people is the not shot stopping things that have really stood out. So the cross claiming is up, the sweeping is up, how high he is when he sweeps is up. His number of completed long passes is up. Those sorts of things, how much he's being asked to do in possession, are all trending more towards what we know Enzo Maresca wants to do with his goalkeeper, right? And I think there is positive development in those areas, but I think people have gotten a little bit out over their skis in terms of how much he's grown there. So if we look kind of at his data year over year, if you look at things like his long pass completion, that's up. He's also attempting many more long passes. If you look at things like his short and medium pass completion, those numbers are down, but again, he's attempting many, many more of them. I think one of the things that plays significantly with the long passing in particular is that Strasbourg play predominantly a back three. And as a goalkeeper, when you get pressed, if you play a back three, you always have the clipped pass into the wing back, which is very, very free as an option. And I'll show some clips, but like when you watch the clips, like he has very much leaned into the clipped pass to the wing back. Like this is not progressive ground passes into the striker's feet. There's some direct play into the nine, but it is mostly clipped passes out to wing backs, which is a useful skill to have, but is very different from how Chelsea play. With Chelsea, those passes are going to wingers, not to wing backs. And they're much further and they're much more difficult to play. So I would be very, very curious to see how that translates if he comes back. Another one that's nice to see is his cross claiming is up. He's 71st percentile by percentage of his crosses stopped. He's also 70th percentile for sweeping actions. Those are pretty nice. Those are pretty nice. Whew. My goodness, those are pretty nice for someone who I think is historically still a very conservative goalkeeper. So that is, and the thing we have heard repeatedly is that Djordje going to France and going to play for Racine, like this is a clear development point for him. Is like you have to play and you have to sweep and you have to claim crosses. And so it's nice to see he is actively challenging himself and working on those things. And it's going well, but just well. One of the things that is really interesting on the data side for Petrovic, and I've shown this plot a lot before on the left, where you can model out based on his goals versus post-shot XG performance what he is historically likely to be. He came in at something like 90%, which would mean that for every 10 XG he faces, he would only concede 9 goals. With pretty big error bars because he only had 2 seasons in MLS, but that's wicked. That's really good. Yeah, that's exceptional. And I mean, if you look at this season in France, he's something like I think he's 29 from 37, which is actually a little bit better than that. In MLS, he was like I think 80, I think he was around 89 or 90% for his whole time, which is exceptional again. But one of the things that really stands out for him is that because Petrovic is a quite conservative goalkeeper, he defends the goal very deep in his goal. If you remember, there was a TV segment with Petr Cech talking about one of the goals he conceded, about how Petrovic is very deep in his goal, and if he was further out, he would have saved some shot. I think it was against Arsenal. And the thing that I've always liked about him is that he just absolutely murders low XG chances. If you think about the XG per shot of a 0.1, so 0 to 0.1, so like low quality chances, he concedes basically none of them. Like he's just locked down. I don't give up bad goals. And for building a team, especially when you have a team as young and as we saw in so many games, we saw it against in the last 10 minutes against Spurs on Thursday, like when the team gets really nervous, it's nice to have a stable, calming force behind you. And we'll get to Bob Sanchez in a little bit, but like Bob Sanchez is not stable and calming. Like he's very erratic. And so having a goalkeeper who smashes the low XG chances, and again, he's doing pretty well here, like 4 goals from 6 XG in the kind of low quality and okay buckets, is pretty great. What is interesting with Petrovic in France is that he has done a very good job in the like good bucket, so the like 20 to 40% bucket, whereas he was also quite good in England or in America there, but he he has done so well in these buckets, and what you'll see is it's a lot of really good 1v1 stuff when we see the videos. There's things he can work on there, but he has been pretty good across the board. But I think really focusing on these, he never concedes long shots, is a huge, huge, huge boon to any team where, like, if you give up good chances and they go in, like, you live with it. But if we all went through it with Kepa, where you play a decent game and then Yuri Tielemans sticks one in the top corner from 40 yards, and you're like, yeah, it's a great shot, but, like, I don't know, maybe you can get a hand on Wilfred Zaha. Like, there's a bunch of them. Salah, like, there's so many that you can think of and go back to. And I think, like, when we think about the difference, right? Sanchez and Jorgensen, I think, are cumulatively +1 on their XG in this season in the league. It might be +2 now. And Petrovic is almost at +10. If you had those extra 8 goals prevented, I did this before Chelsea beat Spurs and before we had beaten and before we drew today. So Chelsea would be 6 points up on their 53 and would be at 59 points, which is like you're in third and 100% making the Champions League. So it is really, really fine margins. It is really, really fine margins. I want to jump into the video now and talk about Petrovic before I talk about what I think they should do with the goalkeeper situation at large. So here's the video. So on the distribution point, like I said, I think one of the big things that stands out in the distribution this year is there's a lot of clipped passes into wingbacks. A lot of clipped passes. Like, here's one, and it's like kind of floaty. It's not a great pass. Here's another one, same player. Again, and like, it's good recognition of where the free man is. Like, you're playing a team who are pressing 4-2-3-1. Like, their winger is jumping high. I think this is against De Zerbi's Marseille. And like, or actually this might be Lyon. And you just clip, find the free man. Clip and find the free man. Clip and find the free man. Like, these are not very difficult passes to execute, but they're good. One of the things that's been surprising to me that I do think is a legitimate positive, right? Like, this stuff he could do. It's just Chelsea didn't play a back three last year. I think this stuff where he gets pressed is much better this year. So like, here he gets some pressure, dribbles out, plays a decent clipped pass out to a wide player. Another one, like, he is outside of his box, building as a center back. Super new for him, pretty calm. He draws pressure. He plays a comfortable ground pass into midfield. He gets a grenade back to him. And then he gets a little bit nervous and just hucks one into midfield and hopes for the best. But again, that he's involving himself in these situations to play a win. That he recognizes, oh, this is a scary moment now. I got to get out of here. Also good, right? Like, Bob Sanchez probably tries to like play this one between this line or something and maybe gives it away or whatever happens. But I think like good recognition of your limits is pretty important to building that skill. Here's another one, right? Like, he's building as one of the center backs, super deep, and is smart about giving himself extra room, is smart about where his out ball is. Like, I don't think it's amazing. Again, I really think, like, technically, Bob Sanchez is probably a better passer than him, almost certainly. But I think it's very good that he is becoming a lot more comfortable in these situations, because you think back to last season, this is getting hit first time into space. It's getting launched. But instead, he takes a touch, he draws pressure, okay, clipped one into the next line. Great little pass out to the winger. That pass is very similar to what we would see him do a lot of at Chelsea. It's flat, it's good to control, he doesn't loop it like crazy. Like, that's a great little pass. So I think when we're talking about the distribution, I think that he's engaging in those scenarios of like, okay, I'm being pressed, I don't have to hoof it. is way more positive than the actual passing stuff. The passing stuff is still just okay. Like he's not Ederson, he's not Alisson, like he's not Raya. Like it's fine, but the being willing to play, but also not being dumb about being willing to play, I think is really, really positive. The second half of things, or I guess the second of three things that people are really excited about is the cross claiming. And this, I think, I have seen legitimate growth. His raw percentages in terms of crosses claimed are not that different year over year. He has faced fewer crosses, which makes sense. Strasbourg defend in a back five. So you have wing backs, so you're going to concede fewer crosses, or your crosses are going to be from different spots. And I think he has made really significant growth in this area. A big thing for me is his starting position. So, like, if you look at this scenario, this is Marseille. I think this is Mason Greenwood. Gets to the end line, very aggressive starting position. He's like almost 4 yards out, middle of the goal. Like, he is ready to come deal with this cross. Very, very, very good starting position. I think last year we would have seen him be 1.5 yards closer to goal. And then the second half of this is excellent footwork, right? Close the hips, or rather open the hips, you turn, you have space to backpedal, and then really good footwork for what ends up being not a difficult cross to claim, but it's very sharp. He's on it, does a good job. This one's the exact same. Like, this one is a much more difficult cross. But what's fun here, again, even though so much different angle, he's much further out, he's not as close to the end line, you have to be much more wary of the shot, given the angle, also on his left foot, not on his right. More conservative starting position, much more treating it like a shot, but watch the footwork to get to the back post here. Right, like he makes up that ground so quickly. So from a set position for a shot, big crossover step, and then out of the crossover into a claim at his peak. It's an excellent, excellent cross claim. And as much as we moan and gripe about Bob Sanchez, like Sanchez is legitimately one of the best cross claimers in Europe. He objectively is. And losing that will hurt defensively. So Petrovic making strides in this area, I think, is very valuable. Here's another one, right? Again, this going from starting position to back post cross is almost the most valuable one, because like the whipped near post deliveries, the keeper's never coming. There's nothing they can do. But the floated one to the back post is both very difficult for the defenders to deal with, because how can you backpedal and jump your highest with your head when a runner's coming from behind you? Very difficult to deal with. But it's also has the most hang time. It's the one the keeper can influence the most. And so seeing stuff like this, where like he's claiming this outside of the goal at the back post, and if you look at the cross, like this zonal marker's not getting up for this. Like, this guy's not winning it. This guy's not winning it. So it is really, really impactful when someone is able to help their team with crosses like that. Here's another one. Again, very aggressive starting position. He goes for a flying Bob Sanchez punch. I didn't love that one. I generally think if you have to dive for a cross and it's not on the ground, you've made the wrong decision to come. I think here, because this delivery has so much pace, I would have stayed home, but he impacts it. It's a good punch. Here's one. He has to deal with a lot of traffic. This is what he would see a lot of in England. And he clears the crowd out. Not a great punch. Not a great punch. But he does a good job to find a lane and come through. Again, if we watch, like, pretty reasonable starting position. A thing I quite like is he's not involved in all the shoving and pushing. I think it can be very distracting for you as a goalkeeper when you get involved in that. Gives himself a little bit of room to gather momentum to come through the crowd, and then the delivery comes and he makes his way through, and it's not great, but it's gone. It's not all perfect, Like this is one high floated delivery. I would expect him to claim this 100% of the time. And he flaps, he misses his punch, he gets very lucky with the knockdown. Like this is one I look at, and if you look at his starting position, so it's hard to see because you can't see him when the ball is kicked. But you can guess where he's coming from. He's way too near post and way too deep for where that ball is. I'd rather him be like almost 2 yards further back because there's no chance he's shooting. And if he does shoot, he's not beating you to the near post. And if he's 2 yards further back, he's coming straight out and he's winning this above his own player. Instead, he's coming at a weird angle. He's late. His timing is off. He misses the punch and gets very, very, very lucky. It's not all perfect, but it's coming. Here's another one. Comparatively, a little bit of a different spot. But not that different of a final location. But he's more central, and then look how much he's able to get up and win the spot there. So again, this I think is real improvement. The cross-taking stuff, I think it's very valuable. I think his starting positions, he's much more aggressive for cross-claiming them. I think his footwork has improved. I think that's a very, very, very big one. And when we look at you play Brentfords and you play Bournemouths and you play all these teams who have really, and Villas who have really good set pieces, and Arsenal who have really good set pieces and are very big teams, like you need it. Like you cannot go without it. It is exceptionally valuable. So this being a point of improvement, I think is really, really important to me. And then the last one, and what I will say is always the single most important one, is the shot stopping. The shot stopping looks great again. One of the things that is interesting is the 1v1s are weird. This one's not bad. He comes a little bit to close the angle, but he doesn't sell himself out. And he ends up spreading and making a pretty decent save. I actually don't love this like in between technique where you don't come all the way and you don't stay home. When someone is this far out, you're probably better off setting deeper and just trying to make the save. Like most of the time, that is. I've shown the graphic before. I'm not going to show it again, but I've shown the graphic before of the like 1v1 technique choice versus where you are on the field. And this one is probably on the border of come and do this versus stay home. But the further central ones are almost always stay home and just treat it like a shot. And same with the wide ones. So you'll see a few of these clips where I don't love the 1v1 decisions, but it's working for him, so who am I to judge? A thing that I think Petrovic does very well, significantly better than the two goalkeepers currently playing for Chelsea in Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen, is his rebound control is so good. Like here you have a shot through traffic. Again, I don't love how high set he is. Like there are many worlds where this is a side foot finish near post and he has no chance because he can't react. But it goes back across. Great rebound. Away from danger. Good distance. Great rebound. Here's another one. Another good rebound. Wide. Good distance. Good rebound. There's another one. Good claim on the header. I should have a few of these clips in a row. And I don't know if I have it right after this one. But what I really like here is this is a similar situation to a lot of the crosses we showed. Very aggressive starting position to come deal with the cross. As soon as he realizes he's not claiming the cross, drops in deep to make the save, and then great footwork to save the header. Petrovic is very large. He's not quite as tall as Robert Sanchez. I think he's only like 6'4" instead of 6'7". But he has an excellent frame, and he uses it very well because he has a conservative starting position. He's very comfortable for loopers. Like he's not a very loopable guy. Yeah, so this is okay, so they are all in a row. I really, really, really like his footwork where he goes from crossing situation. So like your signal here is He's turned to the ball, and now you imagine a mini net between the post and the 6-yard box, and that's your role when you're in this crossing situation right on the goal line. As soon as the cross goes outside of your mini net, you are dropping back into the big net to make the save. And you watch, boom, and you can see it. If you watch his footwork again, watch his footwork when he goes. Turns into the goal, comfortable save. But the footwork is excellent. It's a comfortable save, but the footwork is excellent. He's not turning forward, he's turning his hips closed. He's I guess I always say closed, but it's open. Turns his hips, drops back into the goal, and it's really, really good stuff. And here's another one from another cross. Turn, drop in. And like, it's right at him. It's a comfortable save, but he makes it comfortable because his footwork is really good. He's in a good spot. He's set. If he's still scrambling and moving, how many times have we seen this year where a cross is coming across the box? Sanchez is still moving, and it goes back across him, or it even goes the way he's going, and he like makes the save, but it's not the save he was preparing to make, or it gets blocked and like it was going in the other side of the net. Having that footwork is huge, hugely valuable. Again, the lower XG stuff, the stuff that's in wide areas, always looks really good, right? Very good set position, really good angle for this shot. I think when it's this wide, you can come out and close the angle a little bit more to take away more of the goal just by size. But he sets really well, gets down low. It's a very, very good save with a lot of pace on it. Another one, very good angle. I'm much more comfortable with this starting position. Like, imagine if he's out here, your reaction time is so low. But here he's in a good spot, a good balance between cutting off the angle and giving yourself time to react. And he reads the action. Great save, great, even better rebound. The rebound makes me very happy. Here's another 1v1. This one I wanted to include because it's very similar to the Gvardiol chance that resulted in Man City's equalizer when we played them, where Petrovic goes all the way home because he expects that if this is a clean touch, I have a save to make. I'm not going to be able to impact this. But as soon as the touch gets bobbly, he comes and closes the angle, but he doesn't dive at his feet. He just comes and makes himself big and closes the angle as much as possible, but he doesn't sell himself to do it. He doesn't dive at his feet where, like, if I don't win it, it's a penalty or he scores. He gives himself the chance to make the save and makes himself big, and it gets hit right at him, and it doesn't get hit nearly as well as he thought it was, and he ends up actually having time to react and make the save. But that doesn't happen if he comes flying out for the loose ball, doesn't get there, and gets dinged. It's a penalty or it's a goal or it's a red, whatever. So that makes me very happy. Makes me very happy. This one is just like probably the best save he's made all season. Through traffic, I don't think people realize you don't get a good angle of how little he can see this, because I haven't seen a clip of it from behind the goal. But like, look how he's leaning. He cannot see this ball. He has no idea. And when you see, like, he has not caught it until it's like here. And that he gets down as a 6'4" lanky guy. Seb C talks about like goalkeepers whose hands are scraping the floor. Like, that's him here. It's an unbelievable save. And here's another 1v1, another one from a great angle. Again, the stuff from wide areas is so good. Like, his angles are perfect, his depth is perfect. If I go back to the sheet, it's the exact reason why he does not concede low XG chances, because his angles are perfect and his depth is really, really good for wide shots. He gets done by a not great rebound. It's a very good save, but like, probably should do a little bit better with the rebound. Also, this center back should probably do literally any defending. But what are you going to do? Another clip I really like here, where he just, again, really good depth in his goal, And this was a big thing last year where like he tried to be much more aggressive with his starting positions for shots. I don't think it worked for him at all. Uh and I think is part of why he was getting done by deflections because he didn't have the chance to react. But like look how good the footwork is here. He just constantly stays set, constantly shuffling, boom, boom, boom. Everything's in time. He's well balanced. He it ends up being right at him. It's a comfortable save, but at no point is he leaning back? At no point is he off balance. At no point is he going to beat himself here. If the guy sticks it in the corner, he sticks it in the corner, but he's not giving anything. It's a very good save. Very good footwork, anyways. Another angle one, another pretty comfortable save. And again, another comfortable save from distance because, again, his depth in his goal and his starting position is very, very good. And he moves his feet well, and he's a very lanky, tall guy. So, some good stuff. It's not all sunshine and roses. I think there's some stuff that's not great. Like, this was against Lyon last weekend. He's in a great spot. He has a good angle here, I think. Pretty terrible rebound. Ends up in a goal. Very poor rebound. Here's one, I think. This one is off of a corner. This one, I think he's too deep in his goal. He could maybe be half a yard forward. Like, this is... And right, like, I'm being so critical here. Like, you look at the last ones, and I'm like, yeah, his set position's good, and it's, like, maybe 6 inches different. But if you look how close he is to this shot, if he is 6 inches forward, he almost certainly saves this. So that's one where I'm like, all right, maybe set a little bit deep, but not a big deal. Another one of those like weird 1v1s where I'm like, you're kind of far out of your net. You could probably be deeper. Gets beat by a bobbler that he definitely saves if he's deeper. Another 1v1 that I think he's probably a little bit far out of his net. Like, I think a good way to think about this is like, if this was settled play and not a transition and he was just shooting from here, where would you set? And the answer is almost certainly 3 yards deeper. But he's not, and he just gets done. It's not even that good a finish. He hits it hard, but because he's set so high, and like he's set so high because of the situation, right? Like it is a transition moment. But if he just drops 2-3 yards, like this ends up being a comfortable save for him. And it's not. And again, here's an awkward one. Great starting position, great angle. It goes through multiple bodies. He's expecting a deflection. It doesn't come. It goes straight in. But not great from him. Not great from him on that one. And then again, another 1v1 where like kind of a weird angle. You come, but you don't come all the way. You end up in this weird in-between no man's land. And he gets slipped through his legs. And you look at it again, like where he's going on that angle. If you stay home, is he really going to take another touch to finish? Maybe, but you probably just saved the shot. And here's another one. Again, he's in between the no man's land. He gets a big foot on this one. Like, it's a comfortable save if he stays a little bit deeper. So that would be the big one for me, is these central 1v1s. He's like within the width of the 6-yard box. Just get a little bit deeper. If you're not going to slide it at their feet, just stay home and try and make the save. That's the big shot stopping one for me. That I'm like, you could do a lot there. But he's smashing his XG. What do I know? So that's the video. Now, if we want to talk about next season and what we want to do with these goalkeepers, it's like a kind of weird scenario. Matt Law went on London is Blue and said, like, yeah, 2 of the goalkeepers are going to leave. 1 will definitely be sold, and 1 will probably be loaned of the 4. And also, you can't see Philip Jorgensen because my face is in the way. So I don't even think I'll be able to move it. But Philip Jorgensen's faced 19 expected goals and conceded 14 goals from it this year, which is pretty damn good. He's been very effective in the Conference League. So yeah, you have 4 goalkeepers. You have Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen at Chelsea, who are both having, by their standards, quite good shot-stopping seasons. I think I've said this a few times that like Sanchez is really frustrating and really up and down, but like he is on average not bad, but the problem is that the up and down of it is a real negative. Uh Jorgensen, I think, has been okay, but was pretty poor when he got like his chance in the league. But I think in general has been fine. And then the two interesting ones are Petrovic, who we've obviously spoken about at length, and then Mike Penders. Mike Penders, I'll probably do a video on eventually. Almost certainly not this year. Not until he's played like a full season of minutes with data that's not from Y Scouts. Like his data is from Y Scout, so it's not the highest. He's conceded 8 goals from 11 xG in Belgium, which is solid when he plays for the first team. When he plays in the second division, he's actually a little bit behind his xG. It's probably just noise. The thing that's really fun about him is his long pass completion is insane. The dude can really pass. He can really, really, really pass. And quite tall, pretty good cross claimer. Like there's a lot there. I think he's going to be very good. I don't think he's going to be close to playing for Chelsea next season. You never know, but I would be very surprised. So when you think about one's going to be sold, one's going to be loaned, and you're going to keep the other two, I think when I look at it, there's a couple things to think about. I think Penders needs to play, so he's the most obvious loan out. And if you're talking about most obvious loan out, I think it makes the most sense for him to go to Strasbourg to play for Rossignol, to play in Liga, which is a much more physical league than Belgium, to deal with more direct play and deal with that as part of his development and get 3,000 minutes, which I think will be huge for him at his age. Because again, he's played a lot, but he's played most of his minutes for Gang's B team in the second division in Belgium. He's played like 1,200 first team minutes this year, which is great. But it's Belgium. It's not a top tier league. So I think him getting a lot of time at Strasbourg is a no-brainer. And then between the other three, I am obviously of the opinion that I think Djordje Petrovic should come back and stay, because I think of the other three, he's probably the best goalkeeper. And the awkward thing between the other two is that between Jorgensen and Sanchez, I would keep Sanchez as the backup goalkeeper for two reasons. One, he's domestic, and I don't think you should ever waste an international slot on a backup goalkeeper from a pure like roster optimization standpoint. I don't think Chelsea are ever going to run into that because they always have enough kind of homegrown players that it's fine. The other is that when you look at like what you can get for Sanchez, I don't think there's like value there. Like you're almost certainly booking a loss right now. Whereas like I think Chelsea could get probably pretty close to what they paid for Jorgensen. And I might just say like, all right, I'm out. I'm not. We tried. He didn't make enough progress in 1 year. We're moving on. I think that's very unlikely. I think the most likely scenario is that Sanchez is sold to someone decent for a moderate loss, but Chelsea just move on. And he moves on because he's like, all right, if I'm not going to play, I want out. And that I think is what will probably end up happening. But I would personally keep Sanchez as the backup goalkeeper, unless, and you never know about this, but like maybe he's a real troublemaker in the dressing room. Like him and Djordje didn't get on, but lots of people don't get on with Djordje. You never know. I would think about it. But I think Pender's going to Strasbourg, Petrovic coming back, and then you're moving on from one of Sanchez or Jorgensen is a no-brainer. In an ideal world where you had infinite loan slots, I would definitely loan Jorgensen and keep him because I think he's actually going to be decent. Like there might be a road for you to make profit on him as a player. And like if he goes and gets another 3,000 minute season wherever, like I would be totally into it. And who knows, maybe you can get a domestic loan and it's great. So that's what I would do with the goalkeepers. Anyways, we're almost at 40 minutes, so we're going to wrap it up there. That's my thoughts on Djordje Petrovic. I think he should come back and get a chance to win the starting job next year. He's looked very good. The passing has not improved as much as people think, but the willingness to play has been a real improvement. The cross claiming, I think, is real, and the shot stopping looks as good as it always has. So let's see. Anyways, that's all from me. If you're enjoying the podcast, if you like the stuff, retweet it, share it, like it, subscribe, comment, all those things. If there's things you want me to talk about, let me know. Somebody asked about Dario Sugo and Giovanni Quenda and all the new people coming in. I'll probably do a bunch of those in the summer, is the plan, when there's no games. Well, there will be Club World Cup, but we'll see what those look like. But until then, it's going to be very focused on what's going on at Chelsea right now. I say as I do an episode on somebody not at Chelsea, but it'll be pretty focused on the run-in. Anyways, that's all for me. As always, enjoy the soccer.